What's up, Hoosier Nation? Indiana football is finally back. It is week one. We have a special week one preview of the Old Dominion versus Indiana game. I'm here, Ricky Tamath with Sean Ratcher, and of course, Mike Katic. We're going to dive into Old Dominion to talk about that team, talk about Indiana, give our predictions, talk about the season. Sean, give us a little big picture of this game.
Yeah, first things first, we appreciate Mike coming on the podcast, one of the newest members over at Barstool Sports. Excited to have you, Mike.
Let's go, boys. Hoosier football. It's back. Let's go.
All right, real excited for the year. Indiana opens the 2025 season coming off of an 11-2 season last year, college football playoff appearance. Mike, let's talk us through a little bit of Coach Signetti. Kind of what are you expecting this year out of the boys?
Yeah, I've kind of liked what he did in the offseason. Obviously, there's a lot of holes to fill. Not only like I'm so biased with the offensive line, but like quarterback was a huge spot he had to fill. We were kind of running backs. We added some, Hemby from Maryland, which is a great get. Our wide receiving core was pretty solid, so didn't really need a lot of stuff there, and then defensive line as well. So I think he did a great job this offseason kind of filling those spots. Watched some media on him. I think it's the same kind of mantra, same confidence as going into last season. So, I mean, I'm pretty confident in him.
Yeah, definitely excited, definitely confident that this team's going to do well. An Old Dominion squad coming in this week. Pretty dangerous Sun Belt team. They've got some talent. We'll kind of get into the weeds a little bit on their roster here. Ricky, set the stage for us here.
So talking about Old Dominion, yes, Sun Belt predicted fifth in the Sun Belt East Conference. We're returning a lot of key talent. But let's Indiana. Obviously Indiana 8-1 in Big Ten play last year, kind of broke through nationally. A lot of stuff going on. Preseason rankings, top 20 nationally, top 5 in the Big Ten. Just looking at the game, looking at Vegas, Indiana's favored 22.5. The over/under of that game is 54.5. We saw a great week 0 game in Iowa K-State. It's looking at that game, a lot of the balls on the ground, a lot of fumbles, a lot of turnovers. Over under, who knows that 54.5 if that's going to hit. But that line 22.5, Signetti has told the boys that Old Dominion is a dangerous team. See it in his press conferences. He is not taking this game lightly. Could see that going, but the S&P ESPN giving 95% win probability, and they're projecting a 40-14 score. But let's talk about Indiana's offense, kind of losing quarterback Curtis Rourke and Fernando Mendoza. Mike, let's kind of talk a little bit about that for us and give us a little rundown on that.
Yeah, obviously Curtis, finishing 9th in the Heisman voting last year, like couldn't have had a better last season with the Hoosiers. It's big shoes to fill, but I think Fernando, what he did at Cal last year, his leadership as one, and then his skill. I think he threw for like over 3,000 yards. I was with him on his visits to Indiana. He's a super cool dude, super locker room vibe guy. Always hanging out with the boys, which as offensive lineman we love that. So I think his leadership and his mature. How mature he is as a player is going to help him a lot this season. So I think, he's coming into a great situation.
Yeah, definitely excited about what Mendoza is going to do this year. I think definitely a next caliber quarterback. A lot of comparisons to kind of Michael Penix, a talent we really haven't seen in Indiana since then. Taking a look at the rest of the offense, the receiving core specifically, you got Elijah Surratt coming back, Omar Cooper, and a name that Hoosier fans really haven't heard too much, but has been around for a while in EJ Williams. I'd expect him to have a breakout year, extremely talented receiver, and really just hasn't been healthy so far in his tenure at Indiana. Ricky, let's get a little breakdown on the offensive line this year.
Offensive line, obviously, we are losing a guy who's on this screen right now. But I'll let you talk about Pat Coogan. But we'll start on the left side. Carter Smith is a veteran guy, one of the top tackles in the Big Ten. The question right now, I guess, is who's going to be that right tackle. We have Zen, and we also have Khalil Benson kind of battling that. I know Signetti mentioned an injury during fall camp. Seems like the whole line is empty, but I'm sure we could see the same guys from last year. Drew Evans is back from his Achilles injury. We got Bray Lynch on one side, obviously Khalil Benson. We're going to see where those 6 kind of mesh. But Mike, obviously the guy who's taking your spot, Pat Coogan, went from Notre Dame, now at Indiana. I believe you were there when he was on his visits. You kind of helped recruit him to Indiana, but talk a little bit about Pat Coogan.
Yeah, leader is kind of you saw everyone saw it when he was at Notre Dame, like his pregame speeches. I think he's going to bring that kind of vocal leadership as well as like a good intensity. He's very vocal. He's going to be able to call out the mic, call out the fronts, get everyone on page so that we can mesh as one out there. Yeah, I talked to him a lot when he was in the portal. Obviously, he had a lot of interest in Indiana, watching what we did last year under Coach Sig, and he was just really excited. I talked very highly of Coach Bostad, Coach Leeds, all the boys. The vibe of the locker room, the vibe of that offensive line room is really great. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see how the five mesh. I know there's been some movements around the offensive line. There's been a little bang up injuries here and there, but I think I trust Coach Bostad to put the best five out there, and the best five to mesh in a way that will finish drives and get drives started as well.
Each year, the defense, the core three guys, Mikal Kamara, D'Angelo Ponz, and Aiden Fisher, all named preseason All-Americans yesterday. I would expect a huge year out of this defensive line. I think the front essentially is building off of what we had last year. Obviously, with the anchor being Mikal Kamara, I would expect 10 plus sacks this year. First team All Big Ten last year, third team All American. I expect him to build off that and kind of establish himself as a day one or day two draft pick. Mike, kind of get into the weeds a little bit on what it's like going against these guys and who you expect to break out this season.
Yeah, well, I don't really know much about the new interior D lineman other than like Tyreek Tucker and guys like that. But I mean, the exterior guys like Mikhail is unbelievable, and he only gets better like every week, man. You can see the progress that he makes. I think him and Carter do a great job getting as many reps as possible against each other to make each other better. But I mean, he's going to be a first team All American if he stays, God willing, he stays healthy. But yeah, the D line, if under Coach Kuntz, they are going to be well coached and well motivated. So, and their leader Mikhail is going to get them ready every week. So
we're going to flip over to the opposite sideline, talk about Old Dominion, kind of give a little recap. 2024 last season, they finished 5-7. Took South Carolina to the end of that game. Should have won that game. Had 4 turnovers. What we know about them: super run heavy offense. 14th nationally last year, averaging almost 210 yards a game. Passing game's a little struggle, but we'll definitely see run heavy from Old Dominion. Kind of talking a little about their defense. That linebacker core is strong. Jason Henderson and Cohen Natola. Jason Henderson is an all Sun Belt captain on defense. Let's talk a little bit about that offensive side, Sean.
Yeah, getting into the offense a little bit. Quarterback Colton Joseph, returning starter, preseason honorable mention, all Sun Belt. I don't know really if I would expect a huge year out of this guy. Obviously, a threat in the run game as they're run heavy. Struggled a lot in the passing game last year, so I don't expect them to be a threat, especially given the established DB core at Indiana. O lineman Zach Barlev anchors the line. First team All Sun Belt last year. I would expect this team to challenge IU in the run game. I think IU, especially last year, against some of the big guns, Notre Dame and Ohio State, struggled on the interior with the run. Hopefully building off of that this year and able to stop ODU in the run game, but definitely don't see them being a huge pass threat going against guys like D'Angelo Ponz.
So we look at key matchups in this game, Sean and Mike. Let's talk, Mike. Bring us a little about the IU O line versus their Old Dominion linebacker Jason Henderson.
Do we know what front they're mainly out of? Old Dominion? Or they go 4 down?
They're in form of a 3-3 stack.
Dude, fucking hate 3-3 stack. I mean, just going off of like what we knew about last year, when teams play 3-3 stacks, like they really don't respect you as an offensive line. So like, when teams just come out like Michigan and Ohio State, when they just play you in base, 4-3, they kind of respect both your run and your pass. But like when you bring out a 3-3 stack, they kind of think that those interior guys can hold up against double teams and things like that. But, I know Coach Bostad is going to get the boys right going up against a 3-3 stack. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of, Coogan's going to have to read defenses more and read, like the rover and the extra guy coming in the box. But Bostad's going to have them coached up, and I don't think it'll be too much of a problem for the Bulls.
And my key matchup in this game, we're going to take a look at the Old Dominion secondary versus IU quarterbacks, wide receivers. Always Fernando Mendoza, brand new quarterback. We are going to see, I hope, first game, they're going to take some shots down the field, really get Fernando involved in the game plan. Old Dominion's pass defense, outside of the top 100 last year, not too great. And Mendoza's debut, a bunch of veteran wide receivers around there. We're definitely going to see them sling the ball. Going to see a lot of yards probably in the air, especially take what the defense gives you in a 3-3 stack. See what the matchups are on the outside, kind of exploit those. Sean, you're the special teams guy. Talk a little bit about that matchup with special teams and field position.
Yeah, getting into the special teams matchup this week, we've got a handful of new guys. Like kickoff's going to look a lot different this year. Expect a lot more power. I think IU struggled pretty heavily. Not a lot of touchbacks last season. When it comes to the punt game, ODU essentially brands themselves on field position. That's how they stay in big football games. We mentioned South Carolina last year. Indiana, a lot different this season on the punt side of things. James Evans was a lot more of a pocket punter, big spiral, booming punts. Mitch McCarthy, the guy brought in, rollout punter. He's going to punch the ball and get a lot of fair catches. I think when it comes to the style of play of this Indiana team under Curt Cignetti, I think this will complement the offense and the defense a lot better. And I think allow IU to essentially put themselves in the best position to win games when it comes to field position.
We can see, obviously, we have two great teams going to take the field on Saturday. There's going to be a lot of keys to victory. Coming from week 0, there was a lot of penalties, a lot of turnovers. We see a lot of kind of bad football, but that's what happens in the first game of the season. Mike, give us your Indiana key to victory.
I think obviously first game of the year, people are going to be coming out kind of deer in headlights, but I think that's just kind of how we played last year against FIU. We just didn't play that great. So I think it's just about taking it all in, get the game speed down, slow yourself down. Don't get too erratic in your keys and things like that. But at the end of the day, I know Coach Bostad's going to want to run the ball. I know people are going to want to see Fernando throw the ball. So I think the key will be if the offensive line can protect Fernando long enough to exploit the ODU, DBs, because our wide receiver room is so electric and can make such big splash plays. So I think that'll be the key to victory, at least on the offensive side of the ball.
We're looking at Old Dominion, their key to victory, obviously, same key to victories as Indiana. A huge thing is they need to try and control that time possession. If they don't control possession in the game and Indiana has the ball for too long, especially how explosive this offense can be, this game is going to get ugly quick. And then force mistakes. It is week 1 of the season. We are going to see, nobody plays the perfect game. If you see something, all that stuff, it's going to get corrected in week 2. That's what practice is for. Old Dominion is going to bring out new formations. They're going to try and trick our offense. They're going to try and trick our defense. But let's dive into predictions. I'm going to start first with my prediction. I already took that Indiana covering at 33.5. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, electric. Big win for the Hoosiers starting off the season 1-0.
Yeah, building off that, I think Indiana really, if they control the tempo of this football game, they play relatively clean football. We're not talking about a perfect game here, but anytime you get a essentially G5 school coming in to play a P5, they're going to do all types of crazy stuff, right? They're going to run trick plays. They're going to try to get you off tempo. If Indiana plays a clean football game, I'm thinking 52-14 Hoosiers. I would expect a lot of passing yards out of Fernando Mendoza this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna, first game of the year, we didn't play. I don't know if we even covered last year against FIU, but I do think we cover this year. I think we get into an offensive rhythm early, and then the defense kind of takes over the game in the second half. I'm gonna go 42-17. We cover, and we hit the over.
So high-scoring game, fast-flying offense. Obviously, all three of us believe the Hoosiers are going to win that game. Start the season 1-0. It is Cignetti's second season after Indiana football going to the playoffs. Great season last year. there's a lot of talk nationally, especially for the future of Indiana football, especially with their conference play, their non-conference schedule. Personally, you know, we were all part of Indiana football. We know our fan base. We also were part of that game versus Maryland in 2022 when we were the losingest football team in program history, and we secured that 700th loss for the program. So, national expectations. I don't think you can expect this team, especially, playoffs in year one, but I think it's going to be a team that you're going to see regularly with Signetti as long as he keeps his staff, seeing how the school has bought into this program, regularly having great finishes in the Big Ten, going to bowl games, winning those bowl games, haven't won a bowl game since 1991. Looking forward to hopefully this year we get our first bowl win. Mike, give us a little about the national expectations, what you can expect for the team and what fans should expect.
Yeah, the national eye wants to look at Indiana. In 2020 we have a great year. 2021 we go 2-10. I think they think it's going to be the same old song and dance for Indiana football, but I really don't. I really believe Sig is not going to let them fall below that line that we did in 2021. So I would expect, not only for Sig to have the boys right, but also like leaders like Fish, Coogan, Carter, Bray, Mikhail to like really lead the locker room and like player lead, and they know the expectation, they know the standard. So I don't think they're going to let the boys fall below that standard. And I think we are going to just keep on that same track as we ended last season on.
Yeah, all very good insights. I think Ricky talked about not winning a bowl game since 1991. Obviously, college football playoff berth last year is massive for the program, but there's some metrics that I think this year this team needs to hit. Going to the Big Ten championship, winning a bowl game, whatever it may be. If Sig can start to hack away at these curses, essentially, I think he'll be coaching in Indiana for as long as he wants to coach. I think going into the rest of the season, we've got some good matchups. There's some big games. I think as long as Indiana continues to build week after week, this will be a powerhouse football team going into week 12 and into the playoff picture.
Agreed.
All of us are looking forward to week one this Saturday, Old Dominion game. Sean, we're starting this year, Rock Report Season 2. Give us a little bit of what fans can expect coming from Rock Report. Going to change a little bit of things up, but give us a little teaser there.
Yeah, a little bit of a different tempo this year. Each Wednesday, we're going to record and have probably the following morning. Our pregame predictions pretty similar to last year. This year, in terms of our Sunday interviews that you guys are used to, you're going to see some specials being run from some restaurants in Bloomington. We'll name those here this upcoming Sunday. In terms of interviews, we'll have some opposing players, some different personalities around the program. Just trying to mix things up a little bit, keep things interesting, and get some good insights. But looking forward to next week. Indiana's got a big matchup against a former Hoosier quarterback in Dexter Williams. I would expect him to come out ready to roll. Looking forward to that episode on Sunday. Looking forward to the game this Saturday. Mike, we appreciate you coming on, and everyone look forward to any content from Mike coming out of Barstool Sports. I know the following's blown up, but trying to get Hoosier Nation to continue to rally around you.
Yeah, thank you, boys, for having me on.
As always, you can find us on YouTube at The Rock Report, our Twitter at The Rock Report. So subscribe, share, see us. We'll be at campus a few times. If you see Mike around, always celebrate the Hoosiers, give them a little love. So thank you for tuning in. That is all.
Go Hoosiers, baby.
Hoosiers. See you guys next Sunday.